trying to change careers, which, spoiler, is really hard, which nobody tells you. Hi y'all, it's your girl Brittany coming back. First video of the year, new look, new me. What about it? Okay, this video is all about my good news I have. I'm really excited to share it with y'all. I've been like teasing it in like almost every single Testimony Tuesday, but the gag is, and the gag was, that it just kept going on and on and on and on and on, and God was like, no, not yet. No, not yet. The news is that your girl has a new job. It's really giving marketing. It's giving career change.
Yeah.
Hello.
And this. That's it.
So safety. Psychological safety. Yes, 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 yes. It has been a long time coming, baby. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you about to find out. I am going to try to splice this into, y'all know I used to be a teacher, so I'm gonna try to take it back to when I left the classroom and like a little bit after, to like the interim period, because I feel like I have successfully changed careers now. But this is not my first marketing role. And then I'm going to transition into how God moved specifically with this role, because I've heard and it is very true. When God has you waiting for something, he's just cooking it. And I feel like God cooked this one up so good, and like so many facets of the role are so intentional. They're true to me and they're true to where I want to go. And it's like I landed in a very safe place that feels good for me, better than anything I could have imagined, and it's been a journey. Okay, so let's get started. This is the Very Much So podcast, Testimony Tuesday. Also want to say, I'm not gonna drink this on camera. I may pop this after. It's a miracle I haven't popped it yet, because I told myself like as soon as I get my job offer, I'm gonna pop it. But I got this champagne from Champagne, France, baby, in June of 2023, and I told myself that when I got my new job, I was gonna pop it, because, and I actually, it's been, I mean, not almost 2 years, but close enough. It's things like this that kind of like kept me going, because I was like, no, like when I get my new role, I'm gonna pop my champagne from Champagne, France. Like, it's a special occasion. I know they say, you know, don't do the special occasion things, but this one was special. So anyway, if you know me, you know I used to be a teacher. That was my second career, actually. I have my bachelor's in psychology and I have a master's in teaching, and I actually graduated during COVID and all those things with my master's. I've never really been very like career focused. Like, I got into psychology, I was like, oh no, like because it's like a systemic thing, right? And I did go to grad school to be, you know, a therapist. I studied at Towson to be a clinical psychologist. But funny enough, and I always tell the story, when I was in grad school at UB, I was a graduate assistant, and they made you take a career test. Very high on the list was teaching. I was like, okay, I'll do that. Left my grad program to do teaching, which is like, looking back on it now, it's like, who does that? Got into a residency program, so it's like they kind of like teach you how to teach, and stayed there for like almost 5 years. I do feel like if COVID had not happened, I would maybe still be a teacher, or just have like moved up in the ranks as a teacher, which I don't know. But I will say, like, I didn't see my future, any career choice beyond teaching for a while. But when COVID happened, I was like, oh, like I can sleep and I can wake up later, and I can, you know, use more of my skill set, and I don't have to be so sad and depressed, and I can get treated good. It's just like the world opened, especially when it came to just like how I was taking care of myself. And so I actually have a video on that if y'all want to watch it. It's a part 1. If y'all watch it and acts real nice, maybe I'll do a part 2, no promises. Anyway, I was a teacher, and so I left the classroom in September of 2021 because I was at a point where I was very depressed. I was like waking up every day and crying, and y'all will hear in how I tell y'all this testimony, like when my mental is not good, waking up each day dreading the task, that is God telling me, girl, if you don't get run like away from this, because like it's not good for you. I left in September, so it's like the school year wasn't even 2 months in, and I was like, I can't do this. And I was missing a lot of days. I couldn't do it. Like I could not do it. And on top of a lot of other things, it was like very unsafe. Kids were throwing up in the classroom. Ew. We were not getting the protective measures we needed as teachers. And y'all know, people don't really care about teachers. Shout out to all the teachers out there doing the Lord's work. Shout out to y'all. You know, y'all deserve the world. But for me, it just was time to move on. Thank God. Got a job. Like, I had like switched my LinkedIn thing to like applying for work to where like the recruiters could see it. And literally like 3 days later, I had a job. It was... God is good, and he showed out in that situation. Got a job, worked that job for like maybe like 8-9 months, and again I started waking up every day and I was just crying. I felt like the crux of it was like I really did not know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Like I knew I had a huge skill set, but career wise I wasn't really being fulfilled. And I am somebody who, if I'm doing work, and I think that's why I enjoy teaching, because it's like something different every single day. I'm using a huge skill set to do a million things every day. It felt good because I was useful in so many different pockets, and it was also like very fulfilling work. Got a chance to be creative. It checked a lot of boxes. But with that job, even though it was like significantly, let's call that like job A. Even though job A was significantly easier than teaching, and I feel like at the time I was such in like limbo, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I just made it out of a horrible teaching situation. Like it was not good when I left. A lot of teachers can tell you like it's kind of scary. It's kind of jump scare, honestly. In some situations, not all, but at my school it really was. I made it out of that situation and I was like, oh my gosh, like I should be grateful, but I hate it here. Like I was working around a bunch of like older folks who didn't really like look like me. We didn't really have a lot of in common. I just felt like I was not living up to my fullest potential. I feel like I had so much to offer, so much to give. Just was passionate about so much, but I didn't really know what at the time. And so in the midst of having that job, I told myself, okay, I'm gonna get into tech. That's when everybody was like on the tech train. I was like, ooh, me too. And I just knew I was gonna transition into UX, and it was something that a lot of teachers were transitioning into. And I was like, okay, you know, like this is up my alley. Seemed like they make good money. It'll be like a really nice career change. Baby, did all that I could do. I was applying for like Meta. I would always get either to the final round or to like the round before the final round for interviews. I was applying for like ServiceNow, and like I was in a boot camp. I had finished the boot camp. I had a fellowship, and I was balancing. This was all while like having that job, and I was balancing so much. I was burnt out from teaching, but I was also burnt out from like all of that. And then at the same time, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, like, oh my gosh, like I want to do YouTube, I want to like do something creative. Like I'm not a teacher anymore. I have all this extra time, didn't really know how to use it, how to like manage it. Also trying to change careers, which, spoiler, is really hard. Which nobody tells you. It can be really hard depending on your journey, but for my journey, I feel like it has not been linear. Especially in the beginning, it was very like loopsy curvy. At this point, I was balancing a lot. It was maybe like May where my body was kind of like breaking down. Literally caught COVID, and I was like crawling to the finish line. I had like a presentation to do for my boot camp. I had like a final interview that I got set up through the boot camp. So I was like, okay, after this, like it was like June something, like my life is gonna be set, everything's gonna be done, Did an amazing job on my final presentation, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, girl, you crushed it. Everybody was like, I was like, what y'all thought it was? But did not get that job. And also in the midst of all of that, I was interviewing. I was being really creative in terms of like my cover letter, reaching out to folks. Like I was getting interviews, but doors just kept closing and closing and closing and closing and closing. I had never really undergone so much rejection in my life before trying to change my careers, even just to UX. And I was just like, this is not it. Like it's just, my feelings are hurt. I keep trying to pick myself back up and learn new things and learn new skills. You know, spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, and people are telling you a million different things to stand out, and it just was so much noise. I felt like my body was breaking down, and like I couldn't really do it anymore. You know, prayed about it, caught COVID, and I had told myself like regardless, I'm done. Like in June, like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna quit this job because I cannot continue to go to this job and be present and be happy and really take care of myself. I'm gonna stop applying. I'm just gonna like take a break. Like I had to take a break. June came and it was the first summer ever that I had been fun employed. And I talk about this a little bit on the summer bucket list episode, but summer is really important to me. I think it stems from being a teacher and just like having that time off to like do whatever, and then like, you know, jumping back in like the fall. Working during, I haven't worked the past 3 summers. Let me state that. In case you want like another spoiler to what my whole job journey has been, I have not worked the past 3 summers, but that was the first summer. This is June of 2022. I had some money saved up. I was just like, I'm just gonna, you know, travel, and travel I did. I went everywhere. I went to LA, like, I don't even know. I may record another little thing once I really like go. Like I was going everywhere that year. I was happy. I felt good. Part of, I feel like God giving me that time, you know, to rest. I was used to not teaching in the summer, but I just was always doing something. And like this was the first summer where I was like, I'm actually not gonna be like working. I don't have any time that I need to be, because even with teaching, like it was like 4 to 6 weeks. It wasn't long, but this was like an extended summer. Really like pour into me. And that was truly like my first fun employment period. I'm gonna have fun. Like I'm not tied to a job. I can do whatever I want. And what did I decide to do? I decided to start the Thank Me Later podcast. And it took me a huge chunk of that summer to build the confidence to actually release my first episode. I released my first episode around September, and I maybe had started this process around like May, like before I quit my job, so maybe like May. But I was talking about it. I was probably recording a ton of episodes, but had not pressed publish yet, because again, anything you do as a creative or that's new, like it takes confidence. But again, how do you build confidence? You just do it. And so I'm grateful for like my support circle at that time who just told me like, just do it. Like, don't stop, keep going. Like, yeah, love the first episode. Give us more, like share another reel, keep doing this. Oh my gosh, you're doing amazing. Like, I know we talk a lot about being a creative or like doing anything creative can be kind of like an isolating experience, but you do need people to like pour into you. And I do feel like a lot of the confidence I got from like starting and continuing Thank Me Later podcast came from my community. But with that, I also told myself that like, if I'm gonna do the podcast, then I'm gonna give myself a year, right? So I'm gonna give myself a year, countdown to do it and like do it full out and like really execute on my ideas. And if I can make it to a year, then I wasn't gonna stop. And that still applies. In that gap though, in the summer of like traveling and starting the podcast and just kind of figuring out what I wanted to talk about, also just like living life kind of like unrestricted and just like waking up when I wanted to and like reading, just doing all of the things that I never really had time for, I was like, I'm not gonna keep applying to UX jobs. I need to do marketing. I remember seeing like the first role. It was like within social media and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a job? I knew nothing or like this much about social media. And I remember even, y'all know me and Z had a hiking group called Black Girls Hike DC, and I was doing the socials, I was doing the graphics, writing the captions, all the stuff. And I remember like going to a hike, my friends were like, yeah, like, you know, that's like considered copy. And I was like, copy? Just was doing stuff. Again, just things I had also like picked up from teaching, managing social media when I was a teacher, and just continue to do. And so in doing the podcast, I didn't realize that I was doing marketing until I started looking at job descriptions. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I'm doing. And so started applying to marketing jobs. I remember, I probably have the videos because I just was looking at my hard drive yesterday. I was recording podcasts and I was like, yeah, like in August, again, like 2 months unemployed. I was like, yeah, like I'm not really worried. Like I'm about to get a job. Like this, I can feel this season of my life coming to an end. Lo and behold, I ended up getting technically what became like my first marketing job. I started in November, but like there was like a hiring process. So got that job. I'm not gonna minimize that because it actually was a huge deal. On paper, I consider that my first marketing job, and it was like my first big girl job. But one thing I will say about that job is like getting my foot into the door, cool, but it was like never the salary that I wanted. It was with a nonprofit. First big girl job, amazing benefits, baby. Salary aside, amazing benefits. From the free healthcare, corporate card, back and forth to New York. If y'all wonder why I'm a New York girly now, baby, it was that job. And so again, God wastes nothing. And so had that job for a bit. Reflecting back, I don't know that I was ready. Like, I do not know that I was ready. I think making that leap from teaching into the corporate space was a huge chasm in a sense. On top of that, I think I had amazing people around me in terms of like colleagues and coworkers, but I had a very unique manager who was a micromanager. And I'm sorry if I can just say this, also like a white woman micromanager. Dynamics between us was like kind of crazy. It got toxic early, and I will say I remember being like 3 months into the job, and say it with me, I started crying. And I will say, we talk a lot about intuition and discernment and like things not feeling good. I know sometimes as women, we can like be, oh, you know, it's just this or it's just that. But I'm telling you, like 3 months in, I couldn't even verbalize what I felt like was so wrong. And again, I didn't know enough. And I don't think I was really like even talking about what I was going through enough to really equip myself for just the corporate tornado that I was being sucked into, and just did not know what to do. But in that, I was still acknowledged that like I was not the best. I was not the best. I had a lot to learn and grow. I remember I took my final trip for that for that job in May, and it just like, it all went downhill. It ended up being like very like messed up how that whole thing transpired. I had a loss in my family, and I had a vacation planned kind of like the week after, so it fell on like a holiday weekend. But my mom asked, like, you know, are you going down to North Carolina to pay your respects and go to the funeral? I'm like, yeah. So took my bereavement, did what I needed to do, and long story short, by the time I came back, baby, again, it just went downhill. We're not gonna spend too long on that. But I remember I went to the funeral, and then I went to Italy like on vacation. I was in Florence at this time. I did not even go to sleep till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I just started crying and crying and crying. I didn't even know how to verbalize it, but I feel like my body knew that when I got back to that job, baby, it was gonna be time to go. It was gonna be time to go, and it was an experience that taught me that like safety is important in the workspace. Just like a lot about like my personality and what people expect from Black women. And I will say, even like some of the feedback, it was like one of those jobs, all cameras on, and a lot of the feedback I got was like, oh, like you're not like nodding or smiling. It was that type of microaggression environment. You know, I feel like that is very specific and nuanced to Black women, and it just was, it just felt like jail slash hey, it just did not feel good. And so again, mental health. Okay, y'all following with me? So that was kind of like so we went from pre-marketing to like, I'm gonna call that the interim, because while it was my first marketing job, but we're not gonna give it too much. It was my big toe in the puddle, and it also taught me a lot about corporate America. I left that job. I was like, baby, actually, I'm good. I was like, I'm good off these institutions. I'm gonna start my own business. So 2023, I was like, okay, let's try this out. It was a lot of trial and error and like building my own social media marketing agency. Again, just trying to take the tools that I had and help others, which looking back on it now, very ballsy for me to be like, oh, okay, I'll help you. I'll do it for this much or nothing or this or that and the third, and just like bartering, figuring out pricing. Y'all gotta give me grace. I don't know if I have ever had my natural hair out like this on camera. This is, shout out to Jania doing her flat twist on me. One thing I'm doing this year is my own hair, okay? But shout out to Jania, because when she did this, my wrist was actually hurting something crazy, and so she pulled it together for me. Is it cute though? I don't know. Okay, so anyway, so again, a lot of trial and error, but I also learned very quickly with the entrepreneur route. And God is good, because I promise you, like a singular thread throughout my entire testimony as it relates to my career is like God just providing. Like if something was due, if the mortgage was due, if something came up, God was like, okay, here's this client, here's this money out of nowhere, here's this, you know, like here's whatever. That was the beginning of me seeing that like God is intentional and he's actually just gonna provide. This was the beginning of me learning that like the source of my life and the source of my funds and the source of my health and my joy was actually not found in like having a job, having a consistent paycheck. God is the source. And we'll talk more on that later, but like, again, no matter what the situation was, beginning to like start my own business and like truly just getting it out of the mud, God was like, okay, I am your source. I give you exactly what you need, and or I make your cup runneth over. And it's like, it's not in these people or these institutions, it's in me, okay? Easier said than done. Definitely easier said than to like actually trust. But again, like this was just something like God just kept showing me. And so that's from July to October, ended up getting a new job or starting my new job. So really like July and September. So that's 2 months. So that's 2 months unemployed. And then prior to that, it was June to November, so like 5 months. So if you're tracking, the longest I have ever been unemployed, and again, these are 2 summers. So left that first marketing job in July, but still like had kind of like that summer-ish to like, you know, be free. And every time I became fun employed, like I built something. The first time, it was the podcast. Second summer, podcast is still getting sustained. I'm still like pouring more things into it. I'm becoming a better marketer at like what I do, but this time I have to eat, so I'm like running a business and like trying to do all these things. So get this job, I'm like, okay, God, this is so amazing. Like I will never forget, like they reached out to me, like this was a job like I did not even apply for. And this job also taught me that God's timing is like unmatched, because when I got this job, I really like needed it. They reached out to me like on a Saturday. I didn't even really technically apply for that role. The recruiter was just like, hey, like apply for this role, and pretty much like got it. I felt initially so much safer with this job, because to where I was coming from what was kind of represented like corporate America, whatever the case may be, this was like a Black owned company. And I was like, oh, in the club, we all fam, like we gonna be good, everything's gonna be nice. Wrong. This is also just a tip. I go back and forth with this job a lot, because I'm like, had I not taken the job, I don't know. I really don't know. But also like there were red flags, and I feel like I was a bit like, okay, this is the job, but like I wonder if my discernment would have been higher at that time. Would I have still like made those same actions? What would it have gave? And I say that because like it was a job, it was initially marketed as like fully remote. I was like, okay, bet. As soon as I got the job, they were like, actually 2 to 3 days in person. I was like, now it was kind of close, but I feel like that's just like a red flag in the company. Like, don't tell me the role is like fully remote, but it's really not. Like the whole rest of the team essentially was like remote. It wasn't even like they were having us come into the office for any like real true reason. I can say a lot about this specific job. I would say it was my first kind of instance of truly, again, just given like the illusion that it was something, but it really wasn't. Even my manager, like when she was interviewing me, she was like, oh yeah, like there's just this woman who she's so picky, she's so this, she's so that. And like they had hired me as one thing, but my role was really to be a graphic designer. And again, God wastes nothing, because I really don't like now. One of my goals for this year is to actually learn more graphic design. But at the time, I was kind of just like learning as I went, and like just trying to figure out what they wanted and trying to figure out like how to exceed expectations and like how to do it really well. It just was very unorganized. It was very like not good vibe. Like they were gossiping about people. There's a tweet even going around right now about like Black women managers, and I've seen kind of both sides of it, and I'm just like, I wish I would stop talking about things that y'all really don't know nothing about, because it just was to the point where me and a friend who we started around the same time, like as soon as we started, we were like, oh, okay, yeah, we need to go somewhere else. Like this is not it. Like they probably have a turnover rate of like 80%. But anyway, I feel like I just was sold so much in the interview, and like sold like, oh my gosh, yes, like I'm such a mentor to my people and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, perfect, like this is exactly what I need. Whole time being on that job, I feel like she was really doing a whoop-de-woo, because like she became another version of like not only a micromanager, but also really like rude, really like nasty, like so rude and so nasty. And I was like, are you okay? Like, how is you cool? Like, are you good? Being on camera in meetings and like sending me nasty emails and my camera is on and it's just like truly just kind of diabolical stuff. She would like rip my work apart. She would, I think herself, wanted to be a graphic designer or just wanted to just have her hand in everything, and she'd be like, oh no, my eyes see this and I have like these eyes, and I'm like, okay girl, like give me something to write. Get like, you go off, ripping me to shreds. And I was kind of dealing with it and coping, but like so many other parts of my work was just like, it just kept going in a circle, because like somebody would ask me for something, I would give it to them, she would just go back. Like it was chaotic and just, again, not peaceful at all. Toxic work environment. They're like talking about you. Like I literally heard them gossiping about me and like the work that I was doing and like my attitude and my face and this, that, and the third. It gave bullying, I would say. It gave bullying not only from my manager, but like from other people. And I was like, this is awkward. But I was also like, you know what? I really need this job, really need this money. Y'all know I have no problem quitting anything, but for that job, I was like, I'm gonna stay here because I need this job. And funny enough, applying to jobs the whole time, this job had hit me up in January that I had applied to in like September. If I was a teacher during that time, or if this was set in a different time, then I would have been like, okay, this is a dream job, like a good state job. I would have just been like, this is perfect. I truly was excited when I got like the notifications and we were getting meetings set up. I took time to like prepare for the interview. They had a good interview. Took that interview like third day of the year, last January. They ended up hitting me up and they were like, okay, like we want to move you forward. Now, I will say that job, the quote unquote dream job, was in education. And at that time, I had been applying to like marketing and education, instructional design, curriculum this, that, and the third. I had a lot of experience in the education field and I was building my experience as a marketer, but I think at that point I was becoming really kind of like disjointed with, okay, I'm doing my podcast and I'm doing this and like I'm doing so many things. It's kind of like I'm living 3 different lives, and if I'm doing my podcast and I really align with that and it's something that I'm interested in, then I want my job to reflect that, and I want to be gaining skills in my job that I can use in my podcast and vice versa. And also, like, again, just truly and honestly wanted a mentor, wanted somebody to learn from, wanted a healthy team environment, a positive team working culture. Like I was getting these working experiences. At that time, that other role was like communications, and it was valuable. It taught me MailChimp and it taught me newsletters. So again, God wastes nothing. And it taught me graphic design. Let's just say it helped me sharpen that skill. There's so many things that go into getting a job. The prayer is never just God give me a job. Like, and if that is the prayer, baby, you better fine tune it, tighten it up, because God will be funny and God will play a game, and then anyway, but still, he's not gonna waste anything. I had that job opportunity and I'm like, you know what? I have a job now. At least it's in marketing, and like I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to get that good job, spend a year or less in it, because at this time I'm also like, I just want to be stable. Like I want some stability. I'm tired of applying for jobs. Can I just say, job market? And I'm not going to say anything definitively about the job market, but when people would say things, I was just like, okay, but you know, my God is bigger than anything that's going on in any sector of anything, and was doing big things, and God was definitely pouring supernatural favor over me every single time. Because we're gonna get to it, but you know, just speaking candidly, like it is not easy to apply. Some of these jobs are automatically rejecting you. Some of these jobs are ignoring you, ghosting you. Even in the midst of when I was applying for UX, I would show up to interviews, the recruiters would not be there, or the hiring managers would not be there, and it's just like the feeling of being disrespected as a candidate when you need some shmoney is like, it's not a good feeling, and it can affect your self-esteem. I really wanted to be in a secure place where it's like, okay, I don't have to to, I know as millennials, we love to job hop, this, that, and the third. I was just like, baby, just get me out the streets. Like, get me out these job streets, please. I was also doing Praise 21 during that time, and also just like deepening my relationship with God, to like developing this discernment, especially as it related to my career. I just wanted more, like going from my first kind of like the interim marketing job to the job that I had in the beginning of last year. These are two really kind of insane experiences, and you know, they're teaching me a lot, but they have also hurt me a lot. You know, I want to be safe, I want to grow my skill set. Like, I wanted a lot of things. Yeah, I felt like, you know, with God, anything is possible. I feel like my first job did do a good job of showing me like what is actually possible. So it was like, okay, let's get it. What do I need to do? The dream job that I was in the midst of applying for, I didn't see myself in that for long. I didn't see it, how it aligned with my goals with marketing. And so that was the beginning of me. That was like my first kind of faith leap of saying that, you know what? I have this education background, but I am no longer in education. I am in marketing now. And I made the conscious decision to begin transitioning my career fully from marketing. Like, I was no longer going to straddle the fence. It was either marketing or education. And if I had the education role, good job. Would not even jeopardize that. Did not want to continue to have like these weird gaps on my resume, or just having a really weird way to explain my experience when I knew I just wanted to do marketing. So I actually withdrew myself from that process. Aww. Some decisions you make, baby, the bells do not be ringing, the choir do not come out, balloons are not being popped, confetti is not being thrown. I made that decision and I was like, okay, I think this is what God is telling me to do. Withdrew. They were like, okay. Little did I know, was gonna get laid off at the end of January. Dun dun dun. And again, did not quit this job, like got laid off. And it's funny because right before it happened, I was reading the story of Lazarus, just seeing like how God moves. I was reading this Bible plan. If I find it, I'm gonna put it. And it just did such a great job of explaining like nothing is impossible for God. The story of Lazarus, like Lazarus had died. They're like, Jesus, come. He was like, okay. The situation was pretty much put in a way that like God had to get his glory. Like they believe that like after 3 days, the spirit is still like within the bodies. Even if God had like came and resurrected Lazarus within those 3 days, it kind of would have been possible for people to be like, oh, well, you know, we believe that the spirit is, you know, still in the body. So like, oh, okay, like you brought him to life, cool. But the fact that God came like on that 4th day when all hope was gone, and he was like, Lazarus, get up. And it just showed me that like, ain't nothing impossible for God. And like when God says speak, move, be, it's going. Things have no choice but to obey. God also does things so that he can get the glory and the honor. Like less of us, more of him. Nothing we do is for people or for our own glory. Like everything is for God's glory. I was just reading that story and it just was hitting me so deep, and I was like, wow, like look at who God is. And then when the day that it happened, was talking to Jania, talking to the girls, Jania was like, remember ladies, no weapon formed against you may prosper. God didn't say the weapons weren't going to form. He said that they were not going to prosper. And I was like, okay, like that. That happened. And I was just like, it just was one of those situations where I was like, okay, like God, you move me out of this. Like I have no say in the situation. You just did what you wanted to do. Okay. So you must got it all worked out. And so the only thing I can do is just like trust you. And I will say, got laid off and like the next week had an interview. Not a month went by, not a week went by where I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't know. I would say the interviews were coming in, okay? And from the first interview, I was like, oh, this is my job. God, this is why you did this. This is my job. And I'll just say very candidly, the first job interview I had right after it happened, baby, that salary was $140K. A managerial role. It was in tech. It just was all this stuff. I was like, oh God, okay, you doing your biggest one. Heard you. Thank you. Love it. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. You're so good to me. Love it. Was not my job. And it's like, okay, cool. And just to kind of like this 2024, y'all know it was rough. It was rough for you, girl, because not only was I going through just a lot of things, whatever you think I was going through, but I was also unemployed. And for if you just don't even know how God will provide for you and like what he will do, because those 2 periods of fun employment were so close, baby, funds minimal, savings dried up. Okay, however, and also January 2024 was the first year of me living in my house and paying 100% of my bills.